Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of June 20th, 2019. Our first item are the hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on June 6, 2019. Any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our utility pole hearing. Our first item is on a joint petition by Eversource Energy and Verizon New England, Inc. to relocate one utility pole within Burnett Street, a public way in West Roxbury, to be located on its northwesterly side across from address numbers 50-56, and generally northwest of Washington Street.
Hello, good morning. My name is Chanel Grant from Eversource. Okay, and we would like to relocate pole 130 over 8, 28 feet south on the sidewalk on Burnett Street. Just move it away from the planned front entrance of 45 Burnett Street.
So the same property owner on that side of the street, just shifting it 20 feet down?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And a driveway is going in, or their entrance is going in there? More
No
or less.
driveway.
Just their entrance to the building?
Yes.
Okay. Other questions or comments on this? Amy or Todd?
We're good.
Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve the joint petition by Eversource Energy and Verizon New England, Inc. to relocate one utility pole within Burnett Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our public hearing on a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Harvard Street, a public way in West Roxbury, located on its northwesterly side, generally from Estella Street to a point southwest of Deering Road. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Harvard Street, Olmsted Green Development, West Roxbury, one sheet, dated May 14, 2019.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Wright from VHB. I'm here with Eric Van Dusen from the New Boston Fund. We're here to present the pedestrian easement for the Olmsted Green project. As we stated at the new business, it's an ongoing project, and we're in the current phase of the affordable phases along Harvard Street. At this time, I'll walk you through the pedestrian easement plan.
That'd be great. Can you before we get to the pedestrian easement, I know you've done it before, but just for the public
Sure.
hearing, can you just do the broad strokes for both?
We've met with the necessary agencies, and since our new business hearing, we've gotten some more responses from BPDA, RCN, that have stated that they have no issues with the project. We've also met with the street lighting department, BTD, Charlotte Fleetwood. We've met again with the Disabilities Commission, so we've been in coordination with a few more of the city's agencies since that time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, if you want to walk us through the easement.
Thank you. The first plan is the pedestrian easement plan. Again, we're building a 7-foot wide sidewalk on Harvard Street to accommodate the new homes. In order to do so, we're extending onto the property. The existing sidewalk is bituminous sidewalk, 5 feet wide. We're making it 7 feet wide along the length of Harvard Street for the five homes that are on adjacent to that.
I apologize. I feel like we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but it's bituminous. The plan is still bituminous on this stretch.
Currently it's bituminous.
Yep.
We're putting
Going to
concrete,
concrete.
city standard
Perfect.
concrete sidewalks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Questions or comments on the ped easement? Amy or Todd?
Okay.
Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on the pedestrian easement.
May I make a motion to approve on a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Harvard Street, public way, West Roxbury, located on its northwesterly side, generally from Estella Street to a point southwest of Deering Road, as shown on plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Harvard Street, Olmsted Green Development, West Roxbury, one sheet dated May 14, 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Our next item is on a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the making of specific repairs within Harvard Street, a public way in West Roxbury, located on its northwesterly side, generally from Estella Street to a point southwest of Deering Road, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as the removal of a section of existing guardrail. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Harvard Street, Olmsted Green Development, West Roxbury, one sheet dated May 14, 2019.
Thank you, Commissioners. As I alluded for the pedestrian easement, we've met with a few of the city agencies. So for the street lighting department, we met with them and have laid out streetlights according to their requirements on this plan.
Great.
We've also coordinated with BTD, and I can walk through our discussions when I go through the plan.
That'd be great.
As I said before, with the pedestrian easement, we're creating a 7-foot wide sidewalk, concrete. There's modifications along the curb line to allow for accessibility to the front doors of these homes. So there's points along Harvard Street where we reset the curb to make that accommodation. As I've noted, that we met with the street lighting department. Street lighting department asked that we install 6 pendant-style lights. That details now on the plan. We'll be tapping into an existing control box at the corner of Harvard and West Main. We want a new conduit and streetlights on this side of Harvard Street. We'll coordinate with the street lighting department to get wiring and all that information and specifications prior to construction. We also have added to the plan, we noted the comment from PAR that the street trees be shown, so we've shown the locations of those street trees along Harvard Street. We also provided a memo to the PSC staff from the landscape architect, noting all of the street trees and proposed trees for the entire Olmsted Green West Campus site.
Are those trees that are existing trees, the ones that you're showing here, or are they new trees?
These are new trees that
Yeah,
we're
they're
showing.
coming in as part of the development. Okay.
Right. We've also, since that time, our new business area, we've met with the Disabilities Commission and the Charlotte Fleetwood from BTV to talk about Vision Zero and what the interaction of Harvard Street looks like with the Deering Road. We're still talking with Charlotte, but the idea at this point now is to have one crossing across Harvard Street with new ramps at that location. There's existing ramps that are out there. They're ADA compliant ramps that are functioning right now without this modification. Charlotte had asked for a painted island. When we first met, there's some discussions about what that may look like and if there's another one needed on the other side of the intersection. But again, we're talking to PIC staff and BTD about that. And we also have to look at the feasibility and constructability because we don't have a lot of survey information on this side, so we'll talk with them and continue that discussion.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we were in new business, we were looking at apex ramps, and so this is sort of to adjust to the, right.
No apex ramps. We have the ramps in the direction of travel per the standard. And the details that we have shown here on the plan reflect that.
And if I recall, we talked briefly about whether it made sense on sort of your property side to have a raised crossing at that crosswalk. Is that something which you've looked at exactly?
This will be a cross, not raised, but it will be an accessible path that continues along here with the ramps in this direction. Again, across Harvard Street, we have to flag it out to provide the accessibility, but again, that's going to have to be reviewed once we get some more survey information on this side and how that works for this single crossing across the street.
Just a couple follow-up questions relative to the proposed regulatory signage that's going up.
We sent some, I've had a conversation with Carl McKenzie from BTD. We sent him a plan for what we thought the signage were. We're still corresponding with him to.
Okay, so the discussion state.
Right.
And as far as the street signs versus public versus private, we're looking at that, inventorying that. So we identify exactly what's a private way, what's a public way.
Right, we'll have that corrected for the streets internally.
And those internal streets, we're gonna get into the CAD system with the police, fire,
Yes.
EMS?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Other things you want to highlight on the specific repairs? The guardrail, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, no, what's the section that we are removing?
So currently, right now, on Harvard Street,
Against the sidewalk?
there's, against the existing sidewalk, there's a guardrail that's out there. We'll remove that for the length of the
Great.
project, and put in the concrete sidewalks.
All right. Other questions or comments on the specific repair plan? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the maintenance of specific repairs within Harvard Street, as read into the record by the chair, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as removal of a section of existing guardrail, all as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, Harvard Street, Homestead Green Development, West Roxbury, one sheet dated May 14th, 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Our next item is on a petition by OG West Campus LLC for the widening, relocation, and extension of the existing right-of-way lines of Falcon Lane, a private way open to public travel in West Roxbury from West Main Street to Deering Road. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Widen Relocation and Extension Plan, Falcon Lane, private way open to public travel, West Roxbury, one sheet dated May 14, 2019.
Thank you. Again, Commissioners, we're here to discuss the widening relocation extension of Falcon Lane. Falcon Lane was first built in 2007 as a private way open to public travel. Right now, we're extending onto that building. We've taken the new concept standard from the city to provide 40-foot wide right-of-way with sidewalks on both sides. And then to encompass that, we've brought it around. It's the shape that we show out there to bring that in and tie that into the existing private way. And part of this plan, we're going to install sidewalks on both sides. They're both concrete sidewalks. We've looked at that and taken that into consideration into the stormwater management. We've submitted a site plan to BWC earlier this week to address comments that they gave to us, as well as some of the changes that we made for the site plan. We also have porous pavement going in for the roadway, which is consistent with all of the private ways open to public travel on Olmsted Green to help with stormwater management and things of that nature related to the project. The project's going to tie the West Main Street and Deering Roads, which would be public roadways, to connect for the new developments as well. We're providing accessible parking for the units that are accessible and give a path for travel to those units, as we've talked and discussed with the Disabilities Commission.
Thank you for the adjustment of having concrete on both sides.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. The sewer on this beneath the private way, is it a public sewer or a private sewer?
So the sewer will be a public sewer, and the water main as well. We've amended the site plan to provide a water main back there because this will be a private way open to public travel. We have reached out and began coordination with Jim Steinkraus from BWC Legal to talk about the easement documents and things like that related to the utilities. And again, as we go through the site plan process, we'll get whatever comments that Phil LaRock from BWC gives to us, and we'll try to close that out as we try to go to ISD and those things for permits for building of the project.
Thank you, appreciate it. Other questions on the widening relocation? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve a petition by OG West Campus Land LLC for the widening, relocation, and extension of the existing right-of-way lanes of Falcon Lane, private way open to public travel, West Roxbury, from West Main Street to Deering Road. as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Widening Relocation and Extension Plan, Falcon Lane, private way open to public travel, West Roxbury, one sheet dated May 14, 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
so much. Moving on to our next item, on a petition by the trustees of Boston University for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a portion of Babcock Street, a public way in Brighton located on its easterly side at address number 285 across from Ashford Street. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Discontinuance Plan, Babcock Street, Brighton, one sheet dated June 2019. Morning. Please.
Good morning. I'm Paul Rinaldi from Boston University, and I'm here with Chelsea Christensen of Niche Engineering. The project that brings us here today is improvements, access improvements to two buildings at the intersection of Babcock and Ashford. The discontinuance is associated with providing handicap accessibility to the Case Center, building opened in 1971, right on the property line with the city sidewalk, and certainly in those days not paying too much attention to accessibility needs. Our petition allows for or proposes the discontinuance to allow for a slope walkway and transition stairs. It is a notion that we presented in concept when we presented New Balance Field to the commission back in 2012. When we were here several weeks ago, there was a question about the appraisal for the easement, and we have retained Bob Laporte of Colliers, who is doing an appraisal of the property or the easement right now. We should have it middle of next week or so. Chelsea?
Hi, Chelsea Christensen from Niche Engineering. The three actions here are the discontinuance, the canopy license, and specific repairs.
Yep.
As Paul mentioned, the discontinuance is related to the new stairs and accessible walkway up to the Case Center entrance, and some associated signage that will all be part of the U. The proposed canopy is over 300 Babcock Street. Extends about 3 feet out over the public sidewalk, 5.5 feet wide, and we've adjusted it to be at least 10 feet above the sidewalk. The specific repairs.
Before we go to that, Chelsea, just to talk on just to keep the actions separate. No, it's fine. So the discontinuance, so 700 feet, essentially, that'll 712 feet, which the appraisal we will get, or is pending. Any questions or comments on the discontinuance? No. All right. Amy or Todd?
No, we're good.
All right. Members of the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion on the discontinuance.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by trustees of Boston University, the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a portion of Babcock Street, as read into the record by the chair and as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Discontinuance Plan, Babcock Street, Brighton, one sheet dated June 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our next item, on a petition by the trustees of Boston University for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Brighton, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street trees, and storm drain infrastructure. The locations are Babcock Street on its easterly side, at address number 285 between Ashford Street and Gardner Street, and Ashford Street on its northerly side west of Babcock Street, generally at number 300 Babcock Street. This was new business on June 6, 2019. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Ashford Street, 285 Babcock Street, Alston, Brighton, 4 sheets dated May 2019.
Chelsea Christensen from Niche Engineering on behalf of Boston University. The specific repairs we're proposing for Babcock Street are consistent with the improvements done across the street as associated with the New Balance Field. The proposed streetscape includes a 10 to 19-foot concrete sidewalk with a 1.5-foot porous strip along the back of the curb. We are also proposing the removal of 4 existing trees, which currently land in the middle of the sidewalk, and moving 6 new trees to the back of the curb. The proposed tree pits are 4 by 6 feet. And that is the extent of repairs of this.
Have you had any tree hearing on those removals?
We've completed our tree hearing. Have we gotten to that
approved?
yet?
Yes, we have, and it's behind us.
So it was approved.
It was approved, and it's been paid for, so we're set to go.
I realize you just said this, Chelsea, but that is basically moving those trees from the middle of the sidewalk, bringing them to the curb, and putting them in 4x6 tree pits.
Yes.
They're in the middle of the sidewalk right now because that's where the curb was.
Yep.
So,
Appreciate the change.
Did we find out anything on the construction management plan, where we are with that? You know, it was submitted a while ago. I hadn't heard back on comments on it relative to reconstruction.
so I had conversation with the contractor last Friday. Looked at it, it was pretty aggressive to cut off the sidewalk for the, I think, 4 months that he was proposing.
exactly.
So we're working to be a little bit more, to tighten that up, let me say.
Excellent.
Okay.
There may be existing bike parking sort of elsewhere associated with this building, but is there bike parking associated with this in the public right-of-way at all?
Not associated with this project
Okay.
specifically.
There is bike parking across the street as part of the New Balance field, and I think there's parking inside 300 Babcock Street,
Inside the building, got it.
inside that building, which is athletics. And
We are also proposing improvements along Ashford Street associated with the work we're doing at 300 Babcock. The Ashford Street is currently about 7 feet wide. So we have a 5-foot minimum sidewalk and a 1.5-foot porous paver strip along the back of the curb. We don't have any new trees proposed here due to the way.
Obviously, the Boston Police parking is retained.
Oh, yes,
Right. And you've had discussions with them, Family Justice Center?
yes.
Yes.
There's no change to that because there's no change to the curb. Maybe some relocation during the construction period as they're putting in a porous strip, but we'll certainly work that out. We've got some parking in the area.
Very good.
Anything you want to cover else, Chelsea, on the specific repair plan?
Yeah, that's good.
Any questions or comments? Name your top.
Okay.
Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve a petition by the trustees of Boston University for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Brighton, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street trees, and storm drain infrastructure. Babcock Street, on its easterly side at address number 285, between Ashford Street and Gardner Street. Ashford Street, on its northerly side west of Babcock Street, generally at number 300 Babcock Street, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Ashford Street, 285 Babcock Street, Alston, Brighton. 4 sheets dated May 2019.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Our next item is on a petition by the trustees of Boston University for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a canopy over a portion of Ashford Street, a public way in Brighton, located on its northerly side west of Babcock Street, generally at number 300 Babcock. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, License Plan, 300 Babcock Street, Building, Boston University, Ashford Street, Brighton, 1 sheet, dated June 2019.
Chelsea Christensen, Engineering, on behalf of Boston University. We are proposing a new canopy associated with the accessibility upgrades to 300 Babcock Street. The proposed canopy will extend 3 feet over the public sidewalk, which is currently about 7 feet wide. And the height of the canopy has been adjusted based on the comments at the new business hearing to be at least 10 feet high.
Sorry. So it's at least 10 feet of the entire duration, a little bit of a slope, but it meets both our extension criteria and our height criteria. Okay. Great. Questions or comments on the projection license? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve the petition by trustees of Boston University for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a canopy over a portion of Ashford Street as read into the record by the chair and shown on the plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division License Plan, 300 Babcock Street Building, Boston University, Ashford Street, Brighton, one sheet dated June 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to our next item, on a petition by Mr. Jeff Barrett for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 1, generally north of North Street, and consisting of seating for 26 persons and approximately 406 square feet within the public way. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, The White Bull Tavern, 1 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Name for the record?
Jeff Baird.
Good morning. My name is John Schmidt with Niche Engineering, and this is the first of 6 petitions before this board this morning for the approval of 6 outdoor cafes along Union Street. We were here 2 weeks ago for new business. The first applicant is for 1 Union Street. But first, let me give you an overall view. This is Union Street, and the first restaurant here is One Tavern, it's next to the existing bank. As you go down, you got the White Bull, Alexa, Sons of Boston, Hennessy's, patios, and then between Marshall Street and Hanover Street, there's the Bell and Hand. The first application is for 1 Union Street. The cafe at 1 Union Street will consist of 13 tables seating 26 people. And of that, two handicap seats are provided. The design in itself has been we've worked closely with Landmarks Commission. We're using the bollards for the back of the cafe that were installed as part of the city's recent Connect Historic Boston project. And then along the front and sides of the cafe, it will be defined by the planters that were part of that, Connect Historic Boston project as well. And a series of posts and chains, similar in nature to the posts and chains you have across the street at the Holocaust Museum. We did, as I said, we did receive Landmarks approval. We also met with Deputy Chief Joe McMahon about a month ago. Amy Cording and I did, and came to an agreement on the safe and accessible fire egress. So we provide a minimum 20-foot clearance for emergency egress, fire, police, and other needs, as well as a 90-foot loading zone along Union Street. There was a discussion at New Business regarding concerns with deliveries and daily operations. So since that time, the Union Street group, restaurant group, unofficial name, but the proponents before you have worked together and prepared a letter for the commission committing to working with their distributors to have deliveries before 8 a.m. So I have a letter signed by each applicant that will be before you today with letters and emails from distributors promising to work in meeting that 8 a.m. delivery. So that should ease a lot of the concerns and burdens on Union Street. In regards to accessible handicap parking, Amy Cording and I met with the Disabilities Commission earlier this week, Tuesday, on site. And it's my understanding that the city is going to work at the neighborhood in general to find handicap parking in this area of the city, because not only is this project happening, but there's a number of other projects happening concurrently. We did visit the abutting garage on Hanover Street. I think it's parcel 7. And within that garage, at the first accessible parking level, there are 13 handicap spaces available there. So there is parking available in the city. It just may not be known to the users. So that's my presentation.
As you mentioned, John, there were a number of issues we discussed during the new business, public safety concerns, operational concerns, accessibility issues, serving across the right-of-way.
Right.
So on the public safety side, I know that you touched on this, but from your conversations with the fire department, this preserves that a accessible path of travel.
Yeah, they have a minimum, they're provided a 20-foot path of travel, which is their requirement for emergency vehicles.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, that is essentially, part of that is connected with the functioning of the loading zone, sort of happening within that designated area during these designated hours. Is that right?
Right, so the loading zone is outside that path of travel.
Right.
Here, So there's a vehicle can come through here and out. And this is the loading zone here, which is about the middle of the block.
So we preserve the 20 path of travel around the loading. It's not double duty loading
Yeah.
and fire lane.
Great. And essentially what is covered in this letter is the operations that are specific to each of these restaurateurs that you feel like you can do all of your loading prior to 8 a.m. and together to do that within that zone.
Right, so many of these restaurants share the same distributors, so there's an opportunity here for them to all work together.
Collaborate.
And also, in that respect, you'll reduce the number of deliveries on the street that's happening today significantly.
And there are 2 restaurants that are not part of this, is that right? Or how many?
Yes, there are 2 restaurants that fall in this area here. Union Oyster House is one, and the other restaurant, Salsa, yes. And they were invited to join this, but they chose not to.
Part of it we want to make sure just the operating, the loading can actually be confined for all restaurants within that zone to allow for the...
Yeah, and I'm sure my clients will welcome coordinating these deliveries with them as well.
All right.
And again, as I stated at the previous, when we went through the Connect Historic Boston process, we worked exclusively with the businesses here. One of the concerns was the loading. Obviously, it's not advantageous for the businesses to be receiving deliveries during working or, hours of operation. They want it before, so when patrons are in there, they're not getting deliveries during that time.
Right.
They've been working very good with the city as of right now. Been a little tough as the construction obviously went on for a while, so we appreciate your patience on that. But the loadings have been addressed through the numerous meetings that we had on the Connect Historic Boston. Also, let me just add on the public safety front, I talked to the district commander on several occasions. Captain Fong is very enthusiastic about that because this brings a positive experience onto the street. Unlike some of the negative stuff that has been going on the street, you think that this will be livening in a positive aspect to enforcement. So he's excited about that.
Thank you. Sort of building on the 2 other quick issues, and John, you touched on one of these. Can you just walk me back through the handicap parking accessibility?
Sure. So presently there are 5 spaces on the street. We've earmarked that there's, it's not shown on this plan, but there's probably a space up here, actually right here, where a handicap space could go. We've identified 13 spaces in a neighboring garage. And we also met with the Disabilities Commission, and they're conducting a study of the area to find where we can provide handicap spacing in this neighborhood that serves the general public overall. And I also understand they're going to be providing a way to notify people that spaces are available.
Sorry, that works for you.
Earlier this week, we met with the proponent as well as Amy Cording, as well as Commissioner McCosh, and we discussed the situation of accessible parking spaces that serve City Hall. So we're continuing to work with a proponent to find appropriate relocations for these spaces.
Right. And then the final thing which we, I think, discussed in new business and has been a concern which has been raised by some is just ensuring the quality of experience for people who are both walking along the Freedom Trail as well as patrons of any of these establishments as well as your employees. It's just how we will ensure that that remains a positive experience for all involved.
If I may, I think this will improve the experience for the pedestrians because it provides them a better pedestrian experience. Where now they're up against the bollards in traffic, they'll be up against the back of the cafe. They're not losing any sidewalk area in order to make that for that path of travel. There's also concern about servers crossing that path of travel to that, and each restaurant hires qualified staff, trained staff. And when they exit the building, and many of these doors are recessed a little bit, obviously they're going to be cautious, and the public will have the right of way, and they'll it's in the restaurant's best interest to having a smooth process in place. And actually, it's probably better than I imagine. There's more room outside, so serving may be easier than actually within the restaurant itself when it's filled with clients.
Other questions or comments? No. All right, Amy or Todd? All right, members of the public? Good. Okay. All right. So there are two pieces here. Obviously, this your ultimate sidewalk licenses, and Amy, correct if I'm wrong, it's contingent upon a license from the licensing board.
Yeah, and that will govern the actual operations and the serving. You know, they can have glass or plastic, that kind of stuff, will all come through the licensing board.
Great. So I think that there are two things I just want to, we would want to make this contingent on. Obviously, you know it's contingent upon the licensing board's approval. The second, I just want to take a chance to be able to make sure that we sort of reviewed in the operations plan to make sure that it actually can work for the businesses and work from a public safety perspective.
Okay.
All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item, contingent again on both approval of the licensing board and our final review of the operational plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Mr. Jeff Baird for the granting of sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, Boston proper, as read into the record by the chair and as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Outdoor Cafe License Plan, White Bull Tavern, 1 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank
So
you.
moved. Moving on to our next item on a petition by Mr. Jeff Baird for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 15, generally north of North Street, consisting of seating for 8 persons and approximately 139 square feet within the public way. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Blackstone Grill, 15 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Good morning, John Schmidt, Niche Engineering. With me is Jeff Baird. Mr. Baird also owns the restaurant abutting next to the White Bull. This is the Blackstone Grill. Similar cafe, similar materials. It's a little bit smaller. It's 8 seats with 1 handicap space.
And I assume everything we talked about in the previous item is...
Yes, this conversation from the first petition will carry through all 6.
All right. Any questions or comments on the Blackstone Grill? Amy or Todd?
All set?
Members of the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item, again, contingent on the same two things, the licensing board's final approval and our review of the operations plan.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Mr. Jeff Baird for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, Public Way, Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 15, generally north of North Street, and consisting of seating for 8 persons and approximately 139 square feet within the public way, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Blackstone Grill, 15 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
So
you.
moved. Moving on to our next item on a petition by Sons of Boston for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 19, generally between North Street and Salt Lane, and consisting of seating for 20 persons and approximately 308 square feet within the public way. This was new business on June 6th, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Sons of Boston, 19 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Yourself? Dave O'Connor from Sons of Boston and John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. This is the 3rd restaurant of the 6 applicants before you, and they follow the same procedures and requirements of the previous 2 restaurants. This cafe has 20 seats, and 10 tables, 20 seats, and one handicap space. And again, the materials are the same and the arguments are the same as the original, as the first application.
Any questions or comments on the Sons of Boston petition? Amy or Todd?
All set?
Members of the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item, again, contingent upon both final approval from the licensing board and our review of the operations plan.
Make a motion to approve the petition by Sons of Boston for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, as read in the record by the chair, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Sons of Boston, 19 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our next item, on a petition by Ms. Noelle Summers for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 25, generally south of Salt Lane, and consisting of seating for 18 persons and approximately 283 square feet within the public way. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Hennessy's 25 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. Beside me is Noelle Summers from the Hennessy Restaurant. Hennessy's is abuts the Sons of Boston. It's the fourth restaurant in this row of restaurants. It will have 9 tables, 18 seats, 1 handicap space, and again, it's maintained in the same materials as the earlier applications, and it's part of this group of restaurants who are working together to provide a better loading delivery experience.
Do you assume you reviewed, and this will be the same for the next petition as well, the access to Salt Lane? And can you walk us through the dimensions of this and any impact it has on Salt Lane?
Here?
Yeah.
So right now there's a narrow lane
Yes.
that allows deliveries and
Yep.
egress in and out of there.
Yep.
And this is a one-way street, so vehicles will be coming this way. So Hennessy's isn't
Got it.
impacted by that.
So Salt Lane is only one-way southbound. I should have realized that.
One-way south.
Or yeah, whatever direction
Okay,
it is.
so it's that way.
This actually helps vehicles turning out of here because they were making a tight turn because the parking was on the opposite side. Now they're taking a wider turn to
They
get
can
around
come
the
out
cafes.
further and then-
it's a much,
Got it.
Right, and with the path of travel being pushed to this curb line,
Got it.
safety better, so there's better turning movement than before, and we expected that well because everything to
Okay.
the west of that.
All right, other questions or comments on? That's right. The last one is we sort of seem to perhaps bow in a little bit with the actual dimension of this cafe. Is there a reason for the,
This cafe comes out 8.5 feet. It's 30
sorry, on the
feet.
sidewalk side?
It's 11.6 feet from the building space to the bollards.
Oh, you're just running it around the bollard. That's what okay. Got it.
You good?
Yep. Understood. Okay. Amy or Todd?
we're good.
All right, members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Ms. Noelle Summers for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, Public Way, Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 25, generally south of Salt Lane, and consisting of seating for 18 persons and approximately 283 square feet within the public way. As shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Hennessy's 25 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our next item, on a petition by Ms. Noelle Summers for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 33, generally between Salt Lane and Marsh Lane, and consisting of seating for 8 persons and approximately 118 square feet within the public way. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Patios, 33 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
So this cafe is located right here, just west of Salt Lane. 4 tables, 8 seats, 1 handicap space, and as we said, the traffic movements exiting Salt Lane are improved because the path of travel, the traffic travel is clearer here and better turning movements. The proponent is maintaining the same materials and design components as the previous applicants.
Is there a reason, and would we want to look at sort of any other sort of vertical device that's offset from the planter towards Salt Lane, a flex post or something like that, just to?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Every applicant will have as is required by the City of Boston Tactile Public Realm Guidelines, a wheel stop and a reflector.
Great, on that side.
On the side of traffic, so you'll see it
Perfect.
here, and here, and down.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on this one? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve the petition by Ms. Noel Summers for the granting of sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street as read into the record by the chair, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Outdoor Cafe License Plan, patios 33 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next item, on a petition by Old Colonial Corp. for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 45 between Hanover Street and Marshall Street, and consisting of seating for 48 persons and approximately 733 square feet within the public way. This was new business on June 6, 2019. This is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Bell and Hand Tavern, 45 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering, and with me is David.
Adam Kessler.
Sorry, Adam Kessler. Adam it manages the Bell and Hand Tavern, and this cafe will consist of 24 tables, 48 seats, 3 accessible seats. And it starts here, it's pulled back from the intersection a little bit, and we'll have the tactile protection here, you know, the bollard and curb stop. And then again, it's maintaining the same materials as the other cafes, which is the planters, the railing similar to the Holocaust Museum, and the bollards for the back of the cafe.
Where Union meets Hanover, is that flush?
That's
great, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We just want to make sure that we're preserving that path of travel.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments on this item? Amy or Todd? All right. Members of the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item, and again, as with all the other ones that are part of this set, it's contingent upon final approval of the licensing board and contingent upon our review of the operations plan. And sorry, one other thing, and I appreciate sort of the fact that you are all coming with a proposal that is to the idea of strengthening the vitality of Union Street. As we get feedback, as sort of this gets deployed, if that gets deployed, we'd love to be able to make sure that we are able to have a continued sort of line of communication with you for any adjustments that might be needed.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Old Colony Corp. for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Union Street Public Way, Boston proper, located on its easterly side at address number 45 between Hanover Street and Marshall Street, and consisting of seating for 48 persons and approximately 733 square feet within the public way. As shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Outdoor Cafe License Plan, Bell and Hand Tavern, 45 Union Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 2019.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So thank you. Moving on to our next item, on a petition by Dedham Development LLC for the making of specific repairs within Potomac Street, a public way in West Roxbury, located on its northwesterly side at address number 62, generally southeast of Yorktown Street, consisting of a new driveway curb cut and the removal of a section of an existing retaining wall. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, 62 Potomac Street, West Roxbury, one sheet dated April 2nd, 2019.
Morning.
Morning.
Joseph Azzola, 3841 Washington Street, representing Tony McDonough in his effort to remove a section of this wall from the public way.
So can you walk us back through, I realize we talked about it in new business, but can you walk us back through the proposal? And
Sure.
Part of what we were, I know, talking about last time was just understanding the structural integrity of the retaining wall, both before and after, and any implications that would have. Can you walk us through that?
In general, well, this is a project to build a single-family house for Mr. McDonough, who's a firefighter in Boston, and he intends to live here with his family. This wall was built in the 30s at the back of the sidewalk on Potomac Street. The intent is to cut out a section so that he can gain access into his property. He'll have a driveway there, and he'll lower the grade of the wall and the soil behind the wall, reducing the lateral force. We've had a geotechnical structural engineer go out to the site, take a look at it, evaluate the current condition, and make an appraisal of what will happen once the project is complete. His assessment is that, in fact, we will reduce any lateral forces on the wall, and he doesn't think the current wall is in any danger of collapsing.
And not my expertise, more the person who represents others here. I think that I can understand that this reduces pressure on the retaining wall, which is in front of the property. The impact of the retaining wall, which is at 60 Potomac Street, is there any implications there for?
Again, it's all part and parcel. By reducing the pressure on that section of the wall, it reduces forces on the wall overall, number one. And the driveway that abuts that property, actually on both sides of the property, he's building retaining walls to maintain their grades.
Right. Okay.
We went through the structural calculations and looked at it, and indeed, it's sufficient. So, we also met with him he came into my office, we met on the construction management plan, which was well in hand, in process. He is building a family compound that should be interesting for him, but it looks good. Good luck with that.
Thank you. All right. Other questions or comments on the specific repair plan? Anything else you guys want to cover? Amy or Todd?
We're good.
Members of the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve the petition by Dedham Development LLC for making specific repairs within Potomac Street Public Way as read into the record by the chair, and as shown in the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, 62 Potomac Street, West Roxbury, one sheet dated April 2nd, 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our next item on a petition by Level 3 Communications for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within Blossom Street, a public way, in Boston proper, from address number 51, generally at William Cardinal O'Connell Way, to Cambridge Street. This was new business on June 6, 2019. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, 51 Blossom Street, Boston, 2 sheets dated January 17th, 2019.
Good morning. How are you? I'm Shelley Cullen. I'm here with Level 3.
Mike Weimer, Level 3 Communications.
So just one note, we did hear from Howard Mosier. I don't know if you just got my email, but he's with VHB Engineering, and he works with Mass General. And so he said he had no comments. He had initially written us he wanted to review the plans to make sure there was no conflict with work that's going on over there. So that's all. We're all set with that.
So he's saying he doesn't want any part of the duck bank dig because he's representing Mass General, is going to be going through a major expansion and basically building a new central utility plant. So,
correct. That's what he said. He had no comment at this time, but he does want to talk to us about it. So we will review it with him next week and see if there's anything else that we can do to coordinate.
Excellent.
All right. And when we were...
Coordinating timing, coordinating design.
Everything.
Participation.
Fair
Do they
enough.
want?
Oh, no, they don't want participation.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's
Right
my
now,
concern.
but
That's your
like,
concern.
have they conceived of their future build-out with their?
I will address that with him to make sure.
Okay.
Okay. And then when I was here last, you had talked about seeing if we could reduce the number of manholes. We do have 2 manholes on this, and I talked with Mike about it. This is such a long dig, and in order to pull cable, they actually have to have a manhole for that pull. So, but they're only 3x3 manholes. I know that's not really only. It's still, a lot of space that it takes up. But that's the situation.
Other questions or comments on this? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Level 3 Communications for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within Blossom Street Public Way, Boston proper, from address number 51, generally at William Cardinal O'Connell Way, to Cambridge Street. as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, 51 Blossom Street, Boston. 2 sheets dated January 17, 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Yes. Our next item is on a petition by XNet Systems, Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow and electrical infrastructure within the following public ways in Boston proper and Roxbury: Boylston Street, west of Mass Ave, Massachusetts Ave, south of Boylston Street. This was new business on June 6, 2019, and this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, XNet Systems, Boston, Massachusetts Ave, Boylston Street, 2 sheets dated May 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Adam Braillard. I'm with Prince LaBelle Ty. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, XNet Systems. Typically, my partner, Rick Souza, is here. Unfortunately, he had a conflict, so he asked me to attend, so bear with me. So we're here as the commissioner, as the chairman represented in connection with XNet's expansion of its wireless DAS system in the city. This applicant and the application has been in front of the board before. It's in connection with the streetlight on modification on Boylston and Mass Ave along Boylston Street. Originally, we had a proposed location across from Boylston Street, closer to Mass Ave and the Mass Pike. The board, this commission notified us or let us know that there is some construction there, right, that would affect and maybe remove that streetlight. So we moved across the street. It actually reduced the dig and the trenching from 187 feet to 153 feet. So we reduced that dig by about 35 feet. And we have been in front of the Boston Water and Sewer. We have the approval there. And I think we have submitted the updated plans as well as photo simulations for your review.
So maybe, and I may be looking at another thing, but you've moved from essentially the parcel 12 side to the sort of the row of businesses on Boylston Street. Is that right? Okay.
Right, yes, right from the logo.
I think, and we have updated plans on that. These seem to be still showing.
Those plans should show the new location.
I think we're still seeing it end on the north side of Boylston Street as opposed to the south side of Boylston Street.
Of the other sheet, sheet 2.
Same.
Those are not the new plans that you're looking at.
Right.
You're looking at the older plans. I gave you the new plans.
As long as, okay. Then maybe
Yeah, because that plan, yeah. The newer plans are actually 24 by 36. That plan that you have there is just a 22.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, he's not. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, great. All right, so shorter and across the street.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
We're here to help you.
So that plan also went in front of Boston Street Lighting on Friday, and it was approved by John Yetman.
Great.
So, and then the petition plan has been updated, and I spoke to Water and Sewer before the hearing. We are going to send the plan into Water and Sewer. There was a minor change to the plan, but we're going to send that in for new approval, and then we're also going to discuss a little bit about future as-bills for situations like this, because technically that plan's already been approved by Water and Sewer, so there is an approved plan sitting on their server. Now, how do we unapprove that from their server and get the new location to them? That's what we have to, we'll work that out with them, because there's going to be a lot of these in the very near future.
We'll make it contingent.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Water
Thank
sewer.
you.
And it looks like the one sort of handhold is actually in the sidewalk. It's not in the street roadway.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, other questions or comments on this section? No. Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item, again, contingent upon Boston Water and Sewer's final approval.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Extenet Systems Incorporated for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with City Shadow and electrical infrastructure within the following public ways in Boston proper and Roxbury: Boylston Street west of Massachusetts Avenue south of Boylston Street, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Range of Location Plan, Extenet Systems, Boston, Massachusetts Avenue, Boylston Street, 2 sheets dated May 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Our next item is on a petition by Extenet Systems, Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with City Shadow and electrical infrastructure within Fulton Street, a public way in Boston proper, located between Cross Street and Richmond Street. This was new business on June 6, 2019. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Extenet Systems, Boston, Cross Street, Fulton Street, Richmond Street, 2 sheets dated May 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Adam Braillard of Prince LaBelle Ty on behalf of the applicant. I forgot to introduce my my partner to the left, John Morrison from USC, engineer of record. This applicant was in front of the board, as the chairman said a couple weeks ago. The proposal at the time was a 372-foot dig along Fulton Street to reach the street light at the corner of Fulton and Richmond. Since then, upon the commission's request, we looked at additional or other manholes in the area. We were able to get approval of a manhole that's much closer to the street light, only 17 feet from the street light. Able to get approval for to pull power only from that manhole. So that goes from 372 to 17 feet, which is a great win. There is no fiber, or we couldn't find any other fiber that was closer, so we'll still need to do a micro trench from the proposed location to the original manhole that's 372 feet away.
So that's all microtech.
That's it. It's just for fiber, right?
Appreciate your due diligence on that.
Yeah, that's great. So we cut 300 feet out of the trenching for the power.
Yeah, it's 351 feet.
That's great, to be exact. Other questions or comments?
Yeah, it's just the same thing. We'll have to just make this one contingent
Yeah.
upon our approval. Thank you.
Exactly.
Any talk? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item, again contingent upon Boston Water and Sewer's final approval.
Make a motion to approve the petition by Extenet Systems for grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install telecommunication conduit with City Shadow and electrical infrastructure within Fulton Street, as read into the record by the chair, and as shown in a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Extenet Systems, Boston, Cross Street, Fulton Street, Richmond Street, 2 sheets dated May 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thank you so much. Moving on to new business, our first item is Melnia Cass Boulevard, Columbus Ave, Albany Street, Tremont Street, Brook Marshall Road, Shawmut Avenue, DeWitt Drive, Washington Street, Sojourner Truth Court, Harrison Avenue, Hamden Street, Boston proper, and Roxbury, widening, relocation, specific repairs, on a set of joint petitions by the City of Boston Transportation Department, the City of Boston Public Works Department, the City of Boston Department of Neighborhood Development, Goodwill Headquarters, Inc., Northeastern University, and the Boston Water and Sewer Commission.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairperson. Here this morning to present for new business Melnia Cass Reconstruction Project, which includes those sections with Northeastern and Goodwill and other parcels for the widening and relocation. However, the scope of the project is full reconstruction of the roadway between Columbus Ave and Massachusetts Ave. There's been a robust community process over a number of years, design changes, and Thankfully, today we're approaching final design. The PS&E was submitted as of yesterday, and we're here today to line up for our hearing in a couple weeks. We have Public Facilities Commission for right-of-way approaching in July, and it's just been a collaborative project, interagency, city agencies, state, Mass DOT, who will bid the projects, federal government, federal funding to the tune of about $25 million. But the project primarily is a safety project, which will incorporate protected intersections to allow for improved pedestrian safety. We have bike lanes as part of this project, dedicated bike lanes, grade separated from the roadway. We do not reduce the capacity for the high volume of traffic on the roadway. We maintain the existing travel lanes with some turning lane additions to help with our intersection progression and level of service. New street lights throughout the corridor as part of this project. We'll plant in excess of 250 trees, I believe. We do remove a few trees, but the net increase is over 200 trees to add to the canopy. So the project is all-inclusive, complete streets project. Been in design, as I mentioned, for quite some time. We're excited that we're at this stage. And I have my design team, project manager, Mark Gravaglisi from Howard Stein Hudson, Rick Latini, and Matt DiGiacomo with us. I'm just going to turn it over to them to maybe walk through the scope for the board.
All right, I think you walked through the scope, but I'm going to set up another easel because this Melnick Cast stretch is about a mile long, so here with me, anyone make a racket while so about a mile long, goes from Columbus Ave from the west to Mass Ave to the east. Just like back and forth. Next time I'll set this up beforehand. So.
I thought you were going to be doing a magic trick there.
I wish it was that exciting.
Getting approval is a magic trick.
Engineering must have this one or annoying. Can you guys see both those woods? I get one over. Close enough? All right, well, as I said, Pat went through most of it already. Originally, this was going to be part of the Inner-Belt Expressway, so there's a 40-foot easement along the north side of the Melnick Cast Boulevard. That obviously probably never went through, so we're using it to kind of shift Melnick Cast to the north, so we have room to provide separated bike lanes and pedestrian paths on the south side of the project. So originally we were trying to do, there was consideration of doing a bus rapid transit lane, but the community was definitely against that for safety reasons, and they really wanted this design to focus on making this thing not feel like a highway anymore. So the design basically shifted to doing traffic calming measures in complete street concepts. So in general, Melnick Cast Boulevard now, if you go out there, there's 2 lanes of travel, which we are keeping, but the lanes out there today are from like 11 to 14 feet, so it is like a highway. We're going down to 10.5-foot wide lanes. As Pat indicated, all these intersections now are protected intersections, so that means we have these buffer islands that actually separate the vehicles from the pedestrians from the bicycle, provides better visibility for everybody. And also on these intersections, the bikes and pedestrians kind of have a forward queue, like the traffic is back here, and the bikes and pedestrians here. So not only does that help with visibility, but they actually get a lead time even in the signals too, so there's less conflict there. We also have a couple of raised intersections. One is at Albany Street, and the other one is at Washington Street. So this will help reduce speed, but it also kind of gives it a nice place setting where there's been a hotel that's been recently built on Washington Street, as well as the Tropical Foods across the way, and Albany Street, as you might know, has Orchard Garden Elementary School. So so for pedestrian accommodations, we have this is going west to east, by the way, so sorry it made too much of a roll plan, but we're using 7-foot to 8-foot wide cement concrete sidewalks for the pedestrians, both sides of the road. We have one-way cycle tracks for the bicycles. That'll range from 6 to 8 feet, and we are using a mix of materials. It's either bituminous concrete, but there are sections that is porous pavement. As far as Pat did mention the street trees, we are we are removing about 101 trees, actually. 43 of them are actually dead or in bad health, and we're mitigating it by planting 222 trees, so quite a significant contribution. As he mentioned, we're redoing the streetlights. They're all going to be the pendant type. There's a couple of pedestrian level scale ones. The 15-footers are going to be the acorn type mixed throughout, too. I can give you specific locations if you want. That's why I have the design team here. Some of the specialty pavers, we're going to have at these islands that separate the buffer islands, we'll call them. They have concrete pavers. The island at Tremont Street, where you take that right turn, has some concrete pavers on the edge, and then it's planted. In some places where the pedestrian path and bike lane gets close together, we're using stamped concrete to separate them, and other areas are separated by lawn. And also we have just a couple raised side streets too, where it'll be flush condition at Brook Marshall and Sojourner Truth, and also on Shawmut Ave. And the last specialty item is actually this sidewalk here. It's actually it's type of a granite, stabilized granite. It'd be like 3/8 inch stone, but it's stabilized so it doesn't move, so it'd still be ADA accessible, but there's still a pedestrian path there too. So that's part of the South Bay Harbor Trails, you guys know. So let's see if I missed anything else here. Oh, and then we are doing as much stormwater management as we can, primarily with installing dry wells and precast leaching galleys. Off of Albany Street, we do have a bioretention area over here. I'm going to say Boston Water Sewer is going to maintain it, but I don't recall if we have that ironed out.
that with you.
That is correct.
Okay.
It's Boston Water Sewer.
Okay. Also, there's some widenings that we'll do separately at the public hearing. Obviously, we have one here to help incorporate the sidewalk and the bike lane. Also, we are realigning Albany Street so it lines up across the other side. It is more over here now, so we have a taken over here. And we are also doing one here for mostly for the sidewalk and bike lane as it juts out over here. So those are all going to be highway easements. I think I got all the, let's see, I just want to make sure I got all the widenings. Oh, sorry, and I missed one. There's also a widening to get this pedestrian path on from Harrison Ave to Albany Street. So that's all I have. Certainly any specific questions, we have the design drawings here and can answer any questions.
One other feature I wanted to point out was just the free right, so-called, at Tremont and Melnia. We keep that move, but we do reduce the radius to reduce the speeds. And I believe that has a slight raise in the profile, too, for pedestrians.
What happens with the old protected bike lane?
We rebuild the old South Bay Harbor Trail. We reconstruct that on the north side, and then we add an addition on the south side of Melnia Cass. We'll have bike facilities. So you'll have bike facilities on both sides now.
That bike lane was the first protected bike lane in the city, installed in the late 70s.
And we're going to take very good care of it, reconstruct it. It'll be nice and flush. It's a little bit of a dip, in a wave right now. So, cyclists are very, excited about the reconstruction of the Harbor Trail pathway and having that be a nice, smooth surface to ride on.
This may be more of a question for Amy and Todd, but the existing transit easement, what is the impact? What does this design have to do with the inner belt design easement for transit? Does this impact?
So this shouldn't impact any existing easements. The only thing that's happening as a portion of this is we're taking a lot of the remnant parcels that existed from that and bringing them into the right-of-way to secure the right-of-way for the MassDOT project.
So as MBTA, MassDOT, have they looked at that?
Yeah, so everything as far as the corridor easements, those are going to exist going forward. Those will remain unchanged. We had other remnant parcels that we are now capturing in the right-of-way.
Yeah, as Rick had mentioned, our earlier design and the bus rapid transit and the dedicated transit corridor, we still won't preclude any time in the future with the right-of-way that you could use that transit easement.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then you also want to take part of our land on Albany Street. So on 6/26 next week, is the next commissioners board meeting. So we have to wait for approval from them if you can take the land, but we can't guarantee that they'll vote yes. And then another thing on 845 Albany Street has a lease for the parking lot until 2034. So this will have to be negotiated between you and 845 Albany Street.
That's correct. We're in the right-of-way process with AECom is helping us, assisting us in securing the right-of-way. And we've been working with your team, with Rob Orthman and the director to work out all of these details around the easements and the parking lot and these slivers of land.
Okay.
Pat, you mentioned the extensive community process. Can you just walk us through the process which you and others led?
Well, actually, we had our first community meeting in October of 2011, so it's been quite some time. We've had subsequent community meetings, at Water and Sewer Commission headquarters hosting community-wide meetings, a couple every year we would have at least, but also we worked with a friends group, kind of a grassroots organization that bubbled up during the bus rapid transit concept phase, and they really helped guide us into more of a neighborhood-centric and a complete streets oriented safety improvement type roadway project. And in hindsight, I think that's worked out for the best for everybody, and what we have now is our final product. It's very difficult to get 100% consensus from everybody, but I think we're in a good place. We've had the community meetings well attended, a good cross-section of the neighborhood and different interests. We have, neighborhood folks, cyclists, people who are interested in being able to cross the street safely, seniors from Orchard Gardens. School representation, we had an open house at the Orchard Gardens. One of our community meetings was a demonstration project we did. We brought in the kids, so make it fun for them to participate. We actually did a full-scale layout of one of the intersections at that meeting. So it hasn't been without its controversy and back and forth, but we have really done absolutely everything in our power to have this design reflect what is not just best for the city and our street system, but for the community. I can say that in confidence.
Other questions or comments to the team? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? Our next meeting, and Karen and I buried the...
July 11th?
July 11th? 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks. We skipped the 4th of July.
July 11th. Yeah, 4th of July. July 11th. Does July 11th work for you guys?
We'll be here.
Exactly. All right. We'll see you on July 11th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is 535 Commonwealth Avenue, Beacon Street, Deerfield Street, Boston proper, specific repairs, projection license, earth retention license, on a set of petitions by RREF 2 Kenmore Lessor 2 LLC.
Morning. My name is Alex Provost with Related Beal. Thanks for having us this morning. I am joined by our design team, Mark and Thomas with VHB, Jonathan and Olivia at McPhail, our construction manager, Brian Radomski with Related Beal, as well as our landscape architects, Kyle and Mike from Kyle Zick Landscape Architects. First, I wanted to give a little background on kind of where we stand right now with what is our Kenmore Square redevelopment project and planned development area number 121, which was approved by the BPDA board back in December of last year. If you look here at the board, we purchased a portfolio of 9 buildings from BU back in 2016, of which buildings 2 through 8 there are the subject of our planned development area and are the components of our new construction projects in Kenmore Square. Today we will talk through kind of our 3 actions today, one of which is our projection license for a canopy over our building entry, some of the streetscape and sidewalk improvements with a specific repair plan around the corner of Commonwealth and Beacon and Deerfield, as well as our supportive excavation earth retention license. So today we're talking specifically about the Commonwealth building, which is the component, one of 2 components of our project. Here, the 8-story building on the corner, about 130,000 square feet of commercial office space with ground floor retail. We were approved for the entirety of the project, which includes 130,000 square feet on the corner of the Commonwealth building, as well as 150,000 square feet within the Beacon building, which is the what looks like 2 buildings here, but acts as 1 building. At this point in time, we are a little bit further along. We did not intend to have a phased project. However, we are further along with the Commonwealth project on the corner. After our approvals, we realized we were going to have to coordinate with the MBTA on some of the existing bus operations, diversions, and queuing that are going on in front of the old Barnes & Noble building, which is part of our Beacon project. So we are continuing to try to schedule meetings with the BPDA, BTD, and the MBTA to finalize what our CMP looks like, so during construction, as well as what the implications of the MBTA are during our final condition. So therefore, today we are specifically talking about the Commonwealth building, until which point we finalize that and can come back before you to talk through Beacon. So I will now turn it over to Mark at VHB to talk through the specific actions. Thank you.
Hi, Mark Jackson with VHB. So our first action is a projection license over Deerfield Street. And as Alex mentioned, it's over the office entry for the Commonwealth building. The canopy projects 3.5 feet over the property line, which is significantly less than the 2/3 of the proposed sidewalk, which is 16.2 feet wide from the face of building, from the property line. The canopy is just under 12 feet above grade and will be internally drained as well as heat traced. Before I turn it over to Kyle's going to walk through some of the sidewalk improvements and the specific repairs, I just want to note that we've had extensive coordination with street lighting, parks, BWC, we've met with accessibility, we've met with BTD recently, signed the CMP, and our TAPA is currently under review. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kyle to walk through the specific repairs for Deerfield, Commonwealth, and Beacon to go through a little more of the detail and materials.
On the projection license, there's no canopy on the building further down Deerfield, right? This is the only canopy that's likely coming off of the street, off the building on Deerfield. Okay.
Correct.
I didn't even want to match it up. Got it.
The retail wraps Commonwealth and over to Beacon. Yeah. No canopies associated with it that will project over the public way.
On that side, just the difference.
Correct.
So I'm Kyle Zick with Kyle Zick Landscape Architecture. The streetscape proposed in front of the Commonwealth building changes the sidewalk and improves it quite a bit. I mean, it's already a busy sidewalk with the amount of foot traffic we have in that area, and we are anticipating that will increase. So we're actually widening the sidewalk, moving the curb out and removing the parallel parking along the frontage of the building and having a sidewalk grade cycle track. So the sidewalk, and I'll point to this, the sidewalk is moving from this red line, the curve moves from here to here. The property line is this white dash line. So we have frontage zone, a 8-foot wide concrete sidewalk, accessibility that lines up with the existing crosswalks. Then we have a furnishing zone where we have tree planting. That's pervious pavers, so we're infiltrating the water there. And then the cycle track goes along here as well. We've worked with street lighting, and we'll be replacing the light fixtures along the property. I think there's 3 different types of light fixtures now. We'll have one coordinated pendant fixture throughout with a pedestrian scale fixture on the back side. The second diagram just further reflects what I just mentioned. These are color-coded, reflecting the frontage zone, the path of travel, furnishing zone, and the cycle track, and the buffer.
I have a question on this. I'm sure that, I imagine you're looking at a consistent design, Com Ave, on this building and the Beacon building. Is there sort of a furnishing zone design standard that we are using more broadly within Kenmore Square, that this should match, or further up the BU campus, that we should be matching here, or? Maybe, I don't know, you look at how this sort of connects with the adjacent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the palette of materials used in Kenmore Square now generally is a blend of red brick.
Yep.
Furnishings vary from property to property, but we are using a red brick that is complementary to the rest of the square. We're not changing the crosswalk materials. There's also a brick material on the building, so there's some coordination there. And between the Commonwealth building and the future application for Beacon building, there's continuity there in terms of materials.
Well, it will be the same streetscape design from Beacon to Commonwealth, and the same brick material and concrete accessible sidewalk that you see in front of Miles Standish Hall is the same palette that we are using.
Right.
We will be using a wood benching street furnishing program versus their granite, which is in front of Miles Standish Hall, but the same palette of
So
materials.
similar to what we're already doing to the east. Similar to what was already done to the east, with the exception of the street furniture.
Yes, yes. And we have worked with BTD to coordinate that raised buffered bike lane through the site that will work with in front of Miles Standish Hall, as well as the future, what goes on next to us to the west in Kenmore.
Right. That's going to be important because we have a meeting today with the other developer and what the proposed traffic scenario is with them, which is very challenging. So we'll be getting back to you on how that turns out.
Great.
The driveway operations to a parking lot that I frankly never knew existed, but sort of behind these buildings, there's another point of access to that parking lot, which is off of Deerfield, is that right?
Yes, so there are currently 3 private passageways that access the back parking lot, one of which you see in the diagram here, which will be the main full access point to our garage. So we are going 2 trays below grade within that building footprint there, which we'll talk about with the earth retention. But the ramping is within the building footprint. That will be access and exit for parking for the site. It's around 60 spaces, so not a large amount. However, some of the abutters and parking space owners in that rear parking lot will use a 20-foot way off of Deerfield or a 20-foot way between 636 Beacon and 648 Beacon that is close to the Raleigh-Beacon intersection.
And I assume the answer is because there's only 60 spaces, but did you look at whether just bringing cars into and off of that stretch of Com Ave or that part of Kenmore Square is tough? I assume that you looked at that versus using the Deerfield point of access?
We did. There was not enough room for a two-lane passageway on Deerfield, but also, through many community meetings and discussions with BU as well, we didn't want to force traffic down Bay State Road, which is really the only way you can go if you're coming off Deerfield. You can't take a left turn back into the city. So that was something that they didn't want to push that sort of traffic towards the residential areas of Bay State.
Got it. Other questions or comments on this visit for Paris?
Yeah, I know we've been emailing back and forth, Mark, just about the concerns about the water main being closed. You know, we just want the vibratory monitoring to be going on during the work. And you're just responsible for our facilities, any damages taking place, that's all. Thank you.
Yep. I think to tie into that, we'll turn it over to Jonathan to walk through the SOE.
I'm Jonathan Patch with McPhail Associates. I apologize for my voice, and if you can't hear me, I can have somebody else step in. We're the geotechnical engineer in the project. The site is currently occupied by existing buildings that are supported on wood piles or concrete caissons. In order to construct our new building, we're going to need to excavate about a 30-foot deep hole, for which we're going to install a concrete slurry wall all around the site. But before we can install that slurry wall, we need to remove the foundations that are there from the former building. So this leads us to needing a temporary excavation support system before we can install our permanent excavation support system, which is the slurry wall. So the sections show at the top, they show step one, which is the installation of a soldier pile wall about 4 feet off the property line. To install that, to allow us to remove the existing foundations in limited sections. Once those are out of the way, the excavation would be backfilled up to grade. Concrete guide walls would be installed for the slurry wall, and then the slurry wall would be constructed approximately from the street grade. We've coordinated with Boston Groundwater Trust. They're aware of the project. We've agreed to monitor groundwater levels in the vicinity of the site during construction, before and after. Will be performing that vibration monitoring to monitor that water line as well as other structures around the site. In terms of organic soils, I know that's commonly a concern. In terms of the odors, there's only a thin veneer of the organics here on the site, so we don't anticipate odors from organics being an issue. Be happy to answer any questions.
So with the organics, it historically in this area and up in the Fenway has been an issue. So is there mitigation on the project for basically the odor?
Yes, the contractor will be required to load the soils directly into trucks, not to stockpile.
Is there going to be use of like a foam?
Yes, they'll be spraying it, and there'll be odor socks and.
Excellent. So just the construction management plan, we looked at the earth support system as part of the construction management, where your slurry plan is, where the wall guide walls are, and it all works into the CMP. We've looked at, so you're in a good place right now. So I appreciate you doing that upfront instead of doing it after this hearing, so it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Other potential questions? Anything else you guys want to cover? Sarah?
Sarah Leung, Disabilities Commission for the City of Boston. It's my understanding that our commission staff met with the proponent earlier in the month to discuss our comments and concerns regarding the adjacent sidewalks that are currently in poor condition. It's my understanding that we're still in negotiation with that piece of our concerns, and we look forward to continuing that conversation.
This is both the other side of Deerfield and then the sort of median island, like the MBTA.
Brick sidewalk, the brick and I believe granite crosswalks that connect the site with Kenmore Station.
Right. Are those were put in by
Part of the MBTA Kenmore reconstruction project.
And I think, Kyle, you mentioned this, but is that something we want to revisit as part of this project, or is that something we can revisit as part of this project?
I think depending on where we are in it, if we're out of that field of where we paved all of Kenmore Square, but right. I think that as that stands to see a reconstruction, that we should figure out what the whole thing should be from a crosswalk perspective.
Right, because the entirety from Deerfield, Beacon, towards Brookline Ave is all on that paver.
Well, yeah, then it just goes straight to paver. The road bed is paver, but I think that we can come up with a Kenmore Square. This is our crossing detail.
Okay. To that point, I think we should just, depending on when we come up with that detail, just to be able to work together to have that sort of a common construction approach. Ideally something which allows for great accessibility and is actually easier to maintain over time.
Again, it's one of the items that we've raised for the MBTA in those discussions as well, because it obviously impacts their right of way as well.
Great. Other questions or comments? Amy or Todd?
We're good.
Members of the public? All right. July 11th work for you guys? Great. See you on July 11th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to our next item of new business, 214 Market Street, Saybrook Street, Brighton. Pedestrian easement specific repairs on a set of petitions by 214 Market LLC.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. My name is Attorney Matt Eckel with Drago Toscano on behalf of 214 Market Street. With me today is Jacob Simmons on behalf of the development team. By way of brief background, 214 Market Street was a mixed-use development project that went through the BPDA small project review process and was approved by that board as well as the Zoning Board of Appeals. It was approved as a one retail space with 29 condominium units and 32 parking spaces. Basically, the specific repairs that we are proposing are both on Market Street and Saybrook Street, because this project does abut both streets with frontage on Market Street. On Market Street specifically, we're proposing 3 new tree pits as well as 2 bike racks. To accommodate these, we're also proposing a 1-foot pedestrian easement, which will allow for a minimum of a 5-foot plus clearance along Market Street to accommodate pedestrians. Along Saybrook Street, we're proposing to close an existing 10.5-foot curb cut and replace that with a 20-foot curb cut. Originally, we had proposed 24 feet, but in working with the BPDA, they recommended cutting it down to 20 feet. We'll also be seeking to relocate one existing utility pole to allow for that new 20-foot curb cut. With that, I'll pause and take any questions from the board.
Apologize, I'm just catching up to the presentation.
No problem.
So anyway, new trees, new bike racks, all on Market Street, new curb, new driveway on Saybrook Street.
And the 1-foot pedestrian easement on Market Street as well.
We have about a 5-foot furnishing zone, 5-foot path of travel on Market Street.
Correct.
More or less.
So I know my staff has reviewed this and have certain questions in relative to the traffic study that was done with pedestrian level of service. We've never seen the traffic study. So is that forthcoming?
Yeah, I believe it was sent by email yesterday. I can certainly.
I'm just confused of why it never came to us to begin with.
Apologies for the confusion. It was done, a few years back when we were going through small project review. I apologize for the oversight on our part, but
I get it. Yeah, but we're the transportation department. We make those approvals. Thank you.
Other questions or comments on this proposal? All right. Amy or Todd?
Good.
Members of the public? All right. Anything else you guys want to cover? All right. See you on July 11th.
Great. Thank you so much.
Until then. Our next item of new business and last item of new business is 400 Belgrade Ave, Beach Street, West Roxbury. Specific repairs on a petition by KYL 400 Belgrade LLC.
I'm sorry, pick up here.
Thank you.
Oh, you want to share it?
Yeah.
Have these changed from the version that was submitted to us last week?
No.
No.
So you just got 2 sets.
Do you want to?
You want this?
No, they just had it set up there, so we.
Oh, they did have it set?
Oh, they did.
I wasn't, okay. Good afternoon, Attorney John Pulgini. With me is Lucio Trabucco, who's the architect on the project, as well as John Duros, who's the owner of this project. The address on 400 Belgrade, this is, you guys probably, many of you probably have driven past it a million times. It was an old gas station that was, it's been left vacant for about 20 years in the corner of Belgrade and Beach Streets in West Roxbury. The project is 18 units, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, 33 parking spaces which are located underground. Total square footage is about 31,000 square feet. So it went through both Article 80 small project review with the BPDA as well as Zoning Board of Appeal. This went through an extensive community and regulatory process, and out of that process, the following specific repairs came about. New sidewalks and pedestrian ramps, changes to the curb line, closed 2 existing curb cuts on Beach Street and Belgrade, and to replace them with a new curb cut on Beach Street, which would be access to the underground garage. Moving a light pole to the entrance of the parking garage, add tree pits throughout, add bike racks at the front, some on the side and also in the garage. Planters along back of sidewalk, traffic signals, signs, stop and crosswalk signs, and utility connections. So all of the specific repairs which I just mentioned, that was done through community process, working with the different city agencies. It's kind of been a long process, and we appreciate the feedback that we receive, because I think it really does make it a much better project. That being said, if there's any questions, Lucio Trabucco is here. He could answer any architectural questions, or if somebody from representing a different department who has not already weighed in with their changes, please let us know, and we'll be happy to answer them.
You mentioned traffic signals.
That's correct, Mr. Hesford.
What are we doing there?
Yeah, those conversations we had with the Transportation Department, they request traffic signals, and we have to coordinate with the traffic department, the type and location of those.
So Mr. Hesford represents the traffic department
Yes.
on the PIC board. So there was some concern as you come down from, say, Roach Brothers coming to, it's a triangular parcel. So Beach Street would run directly toward the West Roxbury Parkway, and then Belgrade would go more toward Rosendale Square. Right there, there was some concern with traffic that when people hit that, it's, I don't know if they call it a Hollywood stop or something like that, they don't stop their cars there. So that's bumped out a little bit there. There's a stop sign that'll be placed there a little bit further into the street so they can see that. There's crosswalks to make pedestrian, especially where Roach Brothers is close by. They wanted those to be
So
linked.
you're not installing a traffic signal?
No, stop sign, traffic signs, I apologize.
Because that is it's not a good intersection at all.
Very difficult.
Site visibility
Yes.
is an issue. My biggest concern is looking at this plan now, because I haven't seen it, is your main entrance is right at Belgrade and Beach Street, yet the crosswalk is down at Kenneth.
There was, the reason for that, there was, as we went with the abutters, there was a concern. We had the crosswalk right at that intersection, close to the entrance to the building, but we had a lot of opposition with the immediate abutters for the location of that.
What
Because
was the opposition?
well, the opposition was, the concern was they would lose on-street parking, and they were really adamant about not using that as a crosswalk. So we had extra sketch came from BPDA to move it on Kenneth and Beach Street.
So the BRA told you to move the crosswalk and traffic.
They sent us a sketch.
The only people that do that is the transportation department.
I think it was in connection with the transportation department was involved with this project. They also attended the
My concern
meeting.
is people that are gonna be living in your building, basically are coming out the front door, and you expect them to walk 150 feet down the street to cross the other direction.
I
So.
don't disagree. I'm just telling you what the conversation
Your
was.
tenants, or the people that are gonna build your building, so they're gonna be coming to me saying that we want a crosswalk there, it's not safe. So you're gonna write into your lease with them that there'll be no crosswalk at the intersection?
I'm just telling you with the process. They were really adamant about that. And actually,
I'm all about
this
pedestrian
came.
safety. That's what I am.
But your department was in every meeting with the abutters as well. I represent for your department.
Who was that?
I did.
I think it might have been, was it Billy Conroy maybe, I think from BTD?
Yeah.
I believe it was Mr. Hassford. It might have been, I know it wasn't Pat Hoey, but I'm thinking it was Billy.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with your statement. I'm just saying that's the process, why it was located at Kennett and Beach Street.
Yeah, that's right. We're now in public hearing. I think it's important to just connect with PTDs. Because
Yeah.
the desire line is going to be back up to Center Street. People are going to be walking down Kenneth, back.
And we have a major meeting tonight with the community about pedestrian safety in West Roxbury, Rosendale.
On Center Street.
That's what we had it to begin with. Again, there was such an opposition that.
Yep, I got you. We'll be back.
So, Commissioner, would you like us to address that, or reach out to you, Ed, before?
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's a great project. I live right around the corner.
Okay.
You know, it's been an eyesore for a while, so this is a fantastic, project to get life in this area up again. So, appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much.
One question. The adjacent to your building, so are you imagining that be sort of a pickup drop-off area between the Kenneth Street crossing, essentially, and the Belgrade intersection?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So it's not signed as resident or anything else, would that just be, got it? It would be getting dropped. And then all residential loading and things like that would happen off of the Beach Street curb cut into the inside of the building?
That's correct.
We just have to be careful of that because obviously, as you know, the train station is directly adjacent. So that'd be prime real estate for communities coming in to park.
Yes.
So you might want to think about resident parking. As we've done in all the other streets around the area.
I mean, people use that for commuting.
Bellevue Station's right there.
Yeah, I understand.
And then almost equidistant is you have the station right next to Roche Brothers.
Yeah, Hershey. I mean, it's right there. I mean, what's it?
So if they don't want to pay $4, they can park here. Just want to keep an eye on that. We'll discuss that.
I don't see anybody doing it right now, though.
No, it's all no stopping right now.
It's almost, yeah.
So you got the bus stop, and then you have no parking on the other side, so.
And the unknown of what will happen with the old Chevrolet dealership there, too, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Other questions? Members of the public? All right. See you on July 11th, just have the conversation with PTD.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd just like to say one thing before we leave here. Just, I want to recognize the cable office in back there. They are unsung heroes. They do a lot of work. The technicians over there do a great job.
Second that. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
So, we have an email from the